Welcome to the Fit Affiliate podcast, where we talk about behavior and behavior-based conversations as they relate to CrossFit affiliate owners and coaches. My name's Lisa Hetherington, and I'm your co-host. Sitting alongside me are Tony and Chuck, the founders of Fit Affiliate. And welcome back to another episode of the Fit Affiliate podcast. And today, very excited to chat to Andrea and Rocky from CrossFit AMRock. How are you guys going?
Doing well this morning.
Doing great, Lisa. Yeah. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So whereabouts are you guys based in the States?
We are in Idaho Falls, Idaho.
Nice.
So Pacific Northwest area, but yeah.
Yep, nice. And looking very snowy out there from what I can see over the shoulder a little bit. So, great chance to have a chat with you guys and learn a little bit more about, AMRock as an affiliate, but also, maybe we can start with what was your journey into CrossFit and then how you came to own an affiliate.
Yeah. I should probably start.
Yeah. It's mostly her fault anyway.
It was me that started first, but
it usually is.
Yeah. I had some friends that did CrossFit and they tried to talk me into, hey, you need to come try it. And I was like, no. At the time, I did a lot of marathons. So that was my focus, was marathon running.
Mm.
And I'd done Boston, New York, Chicago, a lot of local races. And I kind of hit a point in my running that I was getting slower.
Yep.
And I didn't know why. And so someone said, well, you should add some strength training. And we were at a global gym working, and just wasn't a routine and nothing that, you don't push yourself as hard.
No.
So I had some friends that said, hey, you should really try this. And of course, it's that everyday.
Yeah, everybody else's mentality of like CrossFit. Those are crazy people.
I'm going to get big and.
Yep.
Well,
yeah. Too heavy to run.
All of the typical stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So I said, fine, I'll go try it. Well, you always remember your first workout.
Mm.
So my first workout was running and thrusters. Well, I didn't know what a thruster was. Well, I had to learn thrusters. But running, I'm like, oh, this is no problem.
This is easy.
Yeah. And it had I think it was a 400, 800 mile, 800, 400 in between 20 thrusters.
Oh, that's unpleasant.
I thought, this will be fine.
Pretty rough workout.
Lots of running.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk for a week afterwards.
Yeah.
It was worse than running a marathon. Like, my legs were so sore. And I said, you know what? This is actually pretty good. So I continued going. And a month later, I finally said to Rocky, you really need to come try this out. Yeah. So that's when he came.
Yeah. And then I had kind of a similar background to Andrea. It's like we both come from kind of that running background. That's what we did growing up. And that's kind of what we did for exercise as we kind of got a little older. I ended up with a back injury. So I blew out a disc, an L5S1 disc extrusion a while ago. And that kind of changed the game for me. I could still go out and run and stuff, but every time I did something, it was like I was laid up for a couple of days. And so, the idea of going and doing CrossFit where I was going to be lifting these heavy weights and doing these things was like, I just can't do it. Right. I go out for a run and I have to hang out for 2 days alone, picking something up heavy. And so I was kind of in the same mindset, Andrea, like, no, we don't do that stuff. But then she's like, you have to come try this. So I said, okay, we'll do that. I can't remember the exact workout, but I want to say it was 100 Curtis P's for time.
Oh,
I 100% know it was Curtis.
Your timing is just amazing for doing it.
Yeah. So it's like, if we're going to get introduced to CrossFit, it's like just right into the fire.
Yep.
So yeah, 100 Curtis P's for time. I don't think I made it through the workout, obviously. And the gym we were in had front door, back door. So we stopped. I walk out the back door, around the corner, puke, go back in the door, but it locked behind me.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I had to walk around the building, come back in the front door. Everybody looking at me. Hey, where did you go? What's going on? So so then I had to tell everybody that I went outside and threw up.
Yeah.
So obviously we were both hooked. And
Yep.
and so we've been doing CrossFit ever since.
Fantastic. What year was that you started that?
9 years ago.
2014.
Oh, 9 years. Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
And
good.
we were the gym or the box that we were at. They'd been open about 7 years. Really kind and great owners. But they had their son needed some special needs. So they closed about 6 months after we started.
Right.
And then we found another box because they had to move. Found another box that we went to for about a year, and he closed.
Yeah. The owner came in on a Monday and said, Friday's my last day.
Oh.
And so we were like, oh my gosh, what the heck? And by then we're a year and a half into CrossFit, and we know this is the only thing we want to do for exercise now. And so he closed, and we tried a Globo Gym for stuff for a little while. They were doing a CrossFit style class. We went over there. It just wasn't the same. I mean, we were trying to exercise around meatheads and that stuff. They were like, hey, you're in my space. These bumper plates are mine. And we're like, we're in a class, dude. Like, and it just didn't work. And so we tossed around a bunch of different ideas of how we could get back to doing CrossFit. And thought to ourselves, like, hey, the best way to lose a bunch of really good friends is to get us all in a communal space where everybody brings their own stuff. You share rent. You do. We're like, no, because inevitably somebody is going to be like, hey, I can't come up with my, $50 this month, or who broke my barbell? Like, who dropped it on the ground and broke my barbell, and things like that. And so one day we were driving home, and I looked at Andrea and said, hey, what if we just tried to open a gym on our own, right? If we open an affiliate and go down that route. So that discussion happened in May. I went and got my L1 in July, and we opened the doors in September.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So you guys had opened and not done any previous coaching or anything like that?
Zero.
Just went in.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, we'd really only been doing CrossFit for a year and a half too.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we had a ton of experience in anything, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And so it really was, again, kind of
steep learning curve.
Throw ourselves into the fire, right into the deep end, and go, right?
Yep. Yep. Well, as Chuck and Tony will often say, riding the line, just get on and you're just hanging on, and everyone else is like, oh my God, this is amazing. And you're just going, I just want to stay on here. And I don't know where it's going.
Yeah. Well, and that was like when he brought up the idea of, hey, why don't we do this? I was in the car, and I remember looking at him like, you're crazy. Like, we both have full-time jobs. And at the time, my job was pretty demanding. I traveled a lot. So I'm like, I don't know how we're going to do this.
Yeah.
So I was a little scared. And we figured it out. Like, he just said, okay. And I think the other thing is we had a really strong group of friends, and it's like, how do you keep that community together? And that was, I think, really important for us, is to find a way to make that happen. And I think that was really the driver behind it, because the group that we were at the first place, they came to the second place. So we there's about 25 of us that kind of stuck together.
So you've got that core group. Yep.
Yeah.
Start. Yep.
When we talked to them, we reached out and said, so what do you guys think about this? And
are we crazy? Are we really as crazy as we think we are?
And they were all on board. And there was one friend that she had her L1 as well. So she said, I'm in. I will help you guys coach.
Great.
And, as we kind of went down this path, we just found people that wanted to genuinely be a part of the process.
What you're building. Yeah. And that's awesome. Like when you can start something and you've got a really, powerful, I guess, organic base of a community already, then that does leapfrog you apart from opening the doors going, well, they said build it. Now I'm waiting for them to come.
Yeah.
Right.
They're,
Yeah.
they're coming here. So, you guys so how long has AMRock been open? About 3 or 4 or 5 years now?
6.
6 years.
6 in September.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow, that's awesome.
6.5. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, clearly in that time, steep learning curves.
Yes.
Trying to figure things out, but clearly you've managed to do that quite successfully. You're still punching along at 6 years and doing really well. So, what do you think, in that initial, year or so, what was, one of the biggest things that you got out? Like, what was the biggest thing you learned out of that time?
Oh boy.
Mhm.
Well, I think for us, when we started in the first place, Andrea was just kind of alluding to it a little bit, is we had this core group of people that were with us from the start, and we knew that we needed to find a place, or we needed to create a place that they could all come together and we
Mhm.
could keep that group. So we started the whole thing with that community in mind of how do we create a place that people can show up and do things and have a group of people that automatically make you a friend when you walk in the door and all that stuff. And
Mm.
so we already kind of had that thought in our mind of we're creating the community to begin with. So that wasn't like a big revelation to us. But I think in that first year, it was, how do we keep the group together? And oh, by the way, we still need to add a few people, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
And try to continue to grow now that we have this thing happening, because if we didn't grow, we probably weren't going to survive. So I think
Yeah.
that was one of the biggest lessons, was how do we bring people into this community
Mm.
and get them integrated, help them become part of what we already had, not make them feel like, oh, we have this group and
Yep.
then there's new people and the old people, right? How do we
Yeah.
everybody goes together? So I think those were the two big things, other than trying to learn how to coach and
Mhm.
the
And
nuts and bolts,
program and do all the things. Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
things. Yeah, exactly.
Because, I know when I bought the affiliate I worked at, and the one thing I'd said all the way through the process is like, I reckon I could run a really good affiliate. I know I could run a good affiliate. But then you open it and it's like and everyone's like, yeah, it's going to be amazing, change lives. But they don't tell you about all the things that go with it. I guess it's a bit like having a baby. Like no one really tells you all the nuts and bolts of, well, here's what to expect.
Yes.
And you're like, wow, wasn't prepared for, some of that. People have an opinion on the toilet paper or the cups you have for the water or, the
Mhm.
music you play, all of that stuff. And there's just, it's like, it's not just standing up in your shirt and coaching a class and being an awesome human. There's just like, and high-fiving, it's like, oh, now there's all these other things you've got to figure out,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is a bit of a challenge.
I think for me, like the challenge, we have running backgrounds. So it was, one thing that we clearly identified ahead of time is how do we want to be different than the other CrossFit boxes in town?
Mm.
So there were 3 at the time. And a lot of them have been here 7-10 years. So, they had a lot of longevity. So how do we, and part of the way we created our difference is that we focus on endurance and, we're into Spartan racing. And
Mm.
so we kind of, our programming is a little bit different than traditional CrossFit.
Mhm.
And that's how we kind of set a little bit of us apart, but also community. I mean, there's a lot of things, but I think the hardest thing for me was that I guess throughout town, it was, oh, Rocky and Andrea have this CrossFit box and they're runners. They don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
And so that was a really hard, I guess, obstacle to overcome of,
Mhm.
yeah, we're putting our heart into something and putting that passion into something. And you can build and you can grow a business if you
Yep.
have the right passion, the right heart, and whatever's driving. Like people will find the right
Yep.
fit for them.
Yeah.
And if you're just trying to help people get up and moving, it doesn't matter what box they go to. It doesn't, but
It all works.
it all worked. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that can be the hard thing when other people are pigeonholing you into a spot.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, but we're not that spot. I remember someone pigeonholed our box at the very start as, oh, it's good for beginners. It's like, well,
Mhm.
yeah, but we're also good for
We did that a lot too.
everyone. Yeah. And it was, it's like, it's not for competition. It's like, yeah, but that's not our main focus, but we can do that. And we went and did that. And, if there was a games athlete, we would happily train them, but we're not just the beginner box. So that stopped a lot of people when an affiliate closest to us closed. And then he said, listen, you should really go check out this place. This is who I recommend. They're like, yeah, but isn't that a beginner box?
Uh-huh.
And it gets hard.
It's a beginner box.
Yeah, that's right. Because we're all beginners when we walk in. It's it is very hard to change those perceptions. How did you go about doing that?
For us, I think it was a lot of word of mouth. I mean, our community and friends and just talking to people and how we can help them.
Mhm.
And even those that had CrossFit experience that came in, it was building a strong coaching team that you can show to people like, hey, we're not just runners. Like we
Mm.
know what we're doing. And I think there's a lot of things with social media that are very driven. We're very active on
Yep.
social media to kind of show the diversity of athletes within our community. Like we have beginners, we have advanced, we've got, I mean,
Everything.
it's
Yeah.
awesome.
The socials are really good. It's
Mhm.
really, and that's where I think a lot of places still miss the mark is on the stories that they tell. I remember one of our members who came, she looked at the box, which was literally 2 minutes around the corner from her house, and all she saw were booty shorts and crop tops and went, nope. And then, so she would drive past them to come to me because she saw my website and went, oh, there's all shapes of people. There's people like me.
Yep.
They look like regular people. The dudes don't have their shirts off. It's like, that's, and that was just a story we told, but to be inclusive, but some places are still missing that opportunity to tell the story of who they really are, because it looks sexy on your website and on your Instagram to show the people with the, 280-pound snatch or whatever it is that they're doing. But they also have these other people, but they just don't highlight that.
Right.
Yeah. And that's part of the thing is we've got with our coaches too, if anyone has like something that happens that's a goal or they've accomplished something, it's, if we can, we try to get it on video when it happens. Or we have like a goal board at the gym and we have them cross it off, but we try to get that for everyone. It's not just specific people. It's sharing those highlights of everyone's accomplishments.
Yeah. And that's powerful in the, everybody wants to be seen and, everybody wants to be heard. And I think that was what drew me to CrossFit was the community and the people and, the first time I ever walked in, and mine was the first workout was a death by 10 meters. So that's horrible. I was not a runner. And I was like, oh, I think I found my home. People were riding on the floor. This is like cool. Like once I owned the gym, started cleaning the floors, not as cool. But at that time I was like, oh, I just like people were talking to me. Whereas in a regular gym class, no one would talk. And you could feel like, okay, it feels like home, and people, love to be seen, that someone will come and have a genuine conversation with you, not just, hey, you in the back, where they wouldn't even know what you're doing kind of thing.
Mhm.
How have you guys found the dynamic? Because quite often with affiliate ownership, it's very solo, because even with a married couple, normally one person's doing it and the other one's, just doing regular job or whatever. You guys are managing regular careers, owning the affiliate, being business partners. How does that dynamic work for you?
How does it work? It's massively possible all the time. No, it's not that bad. But we are really, really busy. I mean, we joke all the time, like we don't have kids of our own, but we open a box and now we've got 100 kids that are adults, or even a bigger pain in the butt than kids sometimes. But no, but no, we essentially, it's like, this is what we do. So we don't have to shuttle kids to a soccer game or anything like that. We go to the gym and help out. And so,
Yep.
so that is one thing that has helped us be able to manage everything between essentially two careers that we've got going on.
Yep.
I think the other thing, and it's been pretty much kind of from the start, it just organically happened. Her and I didn't really ever sit down and have a conversation, but we both have a good idea of what our strengths and weaknesses are. And so we knew from the start, like, okay, Rocky, you need to focus on this stuff here. You know, I went and got my L1, so I was the one that did, you know, most of the coaching and try to think of how are we going to approach that from a coaching programming, like what is this going to look like? And then Andrea would put in her 2 cents on that. And then Andrea, she comes from more of a business background, so she ran like all of the business side of thing, marketing, advertising, as well as you know, kind of putting together how this thing would run efficiently.
Yep.
And so the division of labor was huge. And it, like I said, it happened kind of organically at the start. And then when we started working with Fitfiliate, it really kind of solidified. And we said, all right, here are the lines. Here's our org chart. This is the way things are going to work. And so that really helped us. But it was essentially like, okay, we're already kind of doing this. It's just now we're putting it on paper
and
so
formalizing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of people don't even get to that point of that, you know, they go into partnership and everyone's trying to do everything. Like you guys were fortunate at the start that you kind of sort of had, well, this is what I'm good at, this is what I'm good at, and kind of just stay in my lane versus, you know, everyone wanting to have a say in everything, which is where things tend to go awry to a degree. So what led you down that path? Like you guys, you know, had the basics down pat and you were, you know, humming along. You had a team, you were managing and everything. What led you to go, I think we need some outside advice or guidance? Not that advice is the wrong word to use for Fitfiliate, but looking for a coach.
Is really, we were kind of sitting down talking about, you know, what do we need to do to kind of, not that we were stuck. It just, there wasn't like this, we were consistent. We were just steady. And it's like, okay, how can we do more and help more people?
Yeah.
There's a lot out there. It's just, you know, how do we attract them to us? And I think, you know, we'd gotten it was weird because within that discussion, we had been reached out by what was the name?
Another company. We'll just say it that way.
So we were like, hey, we'll try this out.
Yeah.
Rocky had been kind of watching a little bit of Fitfiliate and Chuck and Tony. And so this was already in the back of his mind.
Yeah.
And
it's funny because when the other company reached out to us, you know, I told Andrea, I was like, hey, look, here's something that we're getting pitched and we could try this. I said, but here's the deal. If we ever decide to go down the route of we're going to hire a coach, these other people are the ones that I want to, like, these people speak my language. And so I had already known, I'm like, if I ever go down and hire a coach, this is who I want to work with. But the opportunity
try it
right in front of you and you go, yeah, okay, this sounds like it'd be all right. We'll try this. And
so we tried it and we met what we were supposed to. And then we said, yeah, this isn't us. Like how it was, you were being told what to do. And then, no, you have to keep the wording. You have to keep things just as they're written. And I'm like, well, the voice isn't us. Like no.
It's like, if I put this out there, like everybody in our gym, in our current community, if they read it, they would know that
it's not
this is not like they didn't do this.
And so we made our fulfillment because there was, of course, a hook of if you don't do XYZ, then you have to pay whatever. So we're like, just didn't have a good feeling. And I think it was, but we liked the idea of, hey, this really pushed us
Yeah.
to think different and give us some ideas of what to do differently.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I think a couple weeks later is,
No.
or you,
we reached out. We reached out and
did.
started the conversation before we were even done
Yeah.
with what we had to fulfill with the other company. We were like, oh yeah, and I mean, stepping back even further, the thing is we were essentially around that 5-year mark.
Mm.
And it was like, all right, you make it through year one and you kind of go, oh, good. Okay, we're still here. We're still standing. We're all right. And then
Yeah.
when we got close to that 5-year mark, I think both of us in our own moment kind of had this realization of like, oh crap, this is a thing. Like,
Yeah.
It's not a hobby.
if this closes
No,
now,
it's an actual thing.
yeah, this
Yeah.
impacts a ton of people. And I mean, and so it was like, we've got to do so. We have to decide right now. Are we just going to do this thing that we're doing now? Or is this actually going to be more? And so I think that is really one of the things that made us start to think about, like, we need a coach. We need somebody who can help us get to the next level.
Yep.
And then there's the other part of, at some point, it would be nice to have one job and not have 2 full-time jobs and all that stuff. And so that's the other part of, like, how do we then again grow the business? What is the next step to get it to where we have that choice? Which job do I really want, type thing.
Yeah, and being able to quantify like what it takes to get there. I know when like I was reading Fit Affiliate stuff, sometimes I feel like that they're in my office and reading my emails, what they're writing. So and I was like, eventually I reached out and, I'm interested to hear how you guys went with their first big question in every, first consult they have is, the magic wand about, well, where do you want to, where do you see yourself if everything goes right? Did you guys do what most of us do and it's like, just still be here in 5 years? Or did you have a bigger answer to that question?
Yeah, there was a little bit bigger answer, just because, I mean, it was, we still wanted to be here, but like I said, it would, like, for us, working 2 full-time jobs, essentially, we're like, no, that's one of the big things. If magic wand and everything was perfect, it's like, we could actually step back and have maybe one job apiece that fulfilled us and got us where we wanted to be. So that was one of the big things with the magic wand, is just kind of, what does this thing look like in 5 years, and how does it affect our life on the other side, right? But yeah, I mean, I think anytime you get asked that question and you haven't actually sat down and thought about it, like really put time into going, oh man, what's this really going to be? What do I want this to be? Because you get stuck in all of this stuff, like, crap, I got to go clean the bathroom and I got to mop the floor.
Yep.
You don't have time to think about like where this goes in 5 years. So it's
I'm just hopeful if I've got all my people and all my staff and, everything's just ticking along, just making sure the dog's not eating shoes. Just, everything's going well. I don't want it to fall over. So, yeah. And how have you found the journey through? So you tried a model which was more like, here's the template, go do this, you'll be awesome, versus we're not going to tell you what to do. We're going to ask you lots of probably infuriating questions at times. But how have you found the journey through coaching to help you move forward? Because how long have you been with Fit Affiliate now?
We had our year anniversary.
Yep.
So probably, I think, 1.5 years now.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Almost 2 years. Great. Yep. Awesome.
Yeah. And we're probably on the slower track than other affiliates, and that's okay for us. Like for us, it's getting out of our own way sometimes. That was, I think, what took us the longest at the beginning, because we had 5 years of doing everything ourselves, right? So we had people that would help us. Like, we asked for help and people were great about helping. But, we were the ones cleaning, because I felt bad asking. Like, it was that guilt of asking someone, hey, can you help clean? It was, oh, hey, we have this going on. Well, we'll just take care of it. So we just never had time. we never had time to do some of the stuff that we'd love to do.
Mhm.
We still went and would
Yeah.
take like a day off or go, like we'd go up in the
Mm.
mountains and go explore or go run or snowshoe or that kind of thing. And we'd find the time, but it wasn't as much time as we would like. So
Mm.
I think going through this, it's opened us to be more, it's okay to ask for help. And I look at 2 years ago to where we are now, and I'll just even use what happened. So yesterday we had an in-house competition. So every year we run an in-house event for just our athletes to pair up and have a team competition.
Yep.
And it's a lot of work. Like we still put in a lot of work, but what was great is yesterday was, I think, the very first time I actually got to watch people because we had a
Yeah.
team to help
Mm.
us execute, and everyone knew their role and what they were doing, and it went off flawlessly.
Yeah.
Boom.
We finished.
Well done.
We finished ahead of time. We weren't on time. We finished before we were supposed to end, which never
That is
happens.
perfect.
Never.
No, that's awesome. Awesome.
So I think in the end, like going through with Fit Affiliate and just having the challenge of challenging sometimes our thoughts or challenging what we're doing and the why we're doing what we're doing, but then also us defining like who we are and like who
That's
and
huge.
what our facility and what AMRock's about, like, and having more of that vision. We didn't have that 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
We didn't have that solidification.
Yeah, and there were a lot of coaching calls where I was really, really uncomfortable. Like, I mean, it really just that at the beginning we'd get on the call and hey, this is what's going on. Yeah, here's our good news and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden I would just go whoop and kind of shut down. There's too much going on in my brain. I have I couldn't process things. It was just I am not in a good place right now. And so that was often, really, really often. And so just trust in the process, taking the steps, trying, like Andrew said, get out of your own way and let things happen. I mean, it's been good. It's actually made us grow a ton. And
and knowing too that and for me, I'm still a client as well as doing working for affiliate, but knowing that those uncomfortable conversations are held in and it's a really overused term, but it's kind of like a safe space, that it's not coming from a place of making you feel dumb or small or less than. It's actually more about you than the affiliate, and it's about, we hold the space and ask you the questions because we care enough to give a shit, and because we want you to be better. And that was one of the things I fell in love with straight away, was it's not just about the affiliate, it's about Lisa the person as well. And like some of my biggest calls, we didn't even talk about the affiliate. It was about stuff that was, and they saw stuff going on with me before I even told them in my calls with Chuck and Tony. And then I'd bring something up and they're like, well, we're glad you did, because it's better than us bringing it up in a couple of weeks. It's like, oh, and you work through that, but you know that it's not just you think they're going to think you're a fool on the other side of it because you didn't know something or hadn't got something,
right?
Rather than trying to make this square peg fit in this round hole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it makes that whole process a bit smoother. You guys are working with Matt?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And Matt is awesome.
Yes.
He has a particular way of asking those questions. And even when I work with Matt on projects, I'll say something and he'll just ask me a question, and you're like, oh, see what you did there.
Yeah.
Righto.
You're like, I know you want me to answer, but you're not really asking for an answer because your question is the answer, right? It's like all you have to do is make me stop and think, and I go, oh yeah, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. We'll just move on.
We'll just move on. Let's get on to the next thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And having that accountability, I also found was a powerful thing, because as an affiliate owner, no one's really looking over your shoulder. I mean, you two had each other, but it was kind of like, oh, I'm going to achieve this week. And then you don't do it. And you're like, well, that's okay, because nobody knew that I was going to do it anyway. I'll just put that off to next week. But you have this, process of checking in, and then here are the things that you committed to do this week. And okay, you haven't done them. Why haven't you done them? Let's talk about what's stopping you. It really does make you think critically about your priorities.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. And I think I think early on we had that, like we had our assignments and we get them done. And then there were some times where, especially at the job I had at the time, with my travel, it was hard. It was really hard. And it's like, okay, I've got to find a way to get that done, because disappointing Matt was not something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Not that it was it's just like, you don't want that disappointment. And, there were times where I had disappointed and I didn't like how I felt about it. And it's just because I want to have that accountability. And I think that's what it came down to, is having that accountability to Matt, but also to our people. Like, if we're in this for the long haul, and we have some future growth plans that we've been working on for a while that are coming to fruition, that it's, we're making an investment into this. And in order for us to get better, we have to be better.
And you were talking about something. I think the other thing that it did too was, like Andrea said, when we started this thing, she had a pretty high stress, like traveling at least once a month, things like that job. And I think going through this and defining a little more of who we are, where we want to go, what we want all of this to look like, kind of made both of us wake up a little bit and say, hey, is this where you want to be, Andrea? And through this process, she actually made a position change. And so now she's in a different position with her company. She doesn't travel. She's here. And the stress is a lot less. And so just being able to ask those questions led us down a road where, not just the affiliate is way better off, but like our other careers are way better off. I had a job change in that time as well. So it's like, I switched positions like right before we started working with affiliate. And it's like, so both of us kind of went through in our 9-to-5 jobs, a career change. And now the affiliate is kind of growing as well. So it's like the affiliate didn't just affect the affiliate. Like it really works on us. And then, you're working on the affiliate, but it's kind of,
it's really about you.
For yourself.
Yeah. And it's that, we talk about our 4 freedoms of, time, purpose, money, relationships, and people don't understand those concepts till you can start to have those things and discover that, I can, pursue the things I'm passionate about and do things not because I have to, but because they're things I want to do. And they mean something to me. And I've got the freedom because I've got this other thing that affords me that ability and that tool to do that. If I just circle back to when, you work with the other company and it was very templated and this is what you do. Affiliate is very much, well, what do you want it to be? How we're going to do it? And like you said, you've probably been a bit slower project than some of the other affiliates. How do you feel? How do you think that difference is between being said, well, this week we're working on this and this is what you're implementing. This week is this, when it doesn't align with, where you're at and where you want it to be. Have you noticed that difference and that feeling of more freedom to take the time that you need?
Yes. So I think the biggest thing is I think we've said it like 3-4 times already, but the big thing and the reason that we were taking our time is because we were so resistant to just change. Like these things, like I said, there were times when I would literally just shut down and it's like, no, I can't talk anymore. And so there were those things I think that made it really hard for us to progress. And it was just the idea of, we're getting out of our way. I personally, I couldn't see how that thing was going to happen.
Mm.
And so it took us a while to get there. Whereas, in the other stuff, there probably would have been a lot more pressure of, no, that you're going to do this,
Mm.
but we wouldn't have learned anything, and
Mm-mm.
we wouldn't have
Mm.
actually understood what the hell we were doing to begin with.
Mm.
We'd thrown this thing out there. And so then next time something rolled around that we needed to do, like, oh, okay, we need to do a some sort of internal sales thing. We'd have
Mm.
no idea what to do. We'd have to, either get somebody to give us a template to do something, or
Mm.
we'd have to regurgitate the exact same thing, because everything's coming at us so fast, or would have been coming at
Mm.
us so fast, that like it didn't give us the time we needed to figure out how we wanted it to go, how we
Mm.
could do it, and make it right for our community. Because that was the
Yeah.
other thing, is everything was so scripted, and the templates were
Mm.
like, you will do this, and this is the wording you have to use because it's tried and proven and true and all that stuff. Okay, that's great, but that doesn't mean it works with our community. And
Yeah.
we found things just in our area, like uh, Facebook advertising and social media
Mm.
advertising. It gets ourselves in front of people,
Mm.
but when we talk to other people in other areas, they're like, yeah, I put out a Facebook ad and I got 200 leads.
Mm.
Boom. They just call after call after call, right? They
Yeah.
might not all been hot leads, but people were calling. We put
Yeah.
out a Facebook ad and we get 10,
Yeah.
right? And it's so there is a difference in where we're at. And I think, and I talk to people, it's like, these things work everywhere, right?
Yep.
With some nuances.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like, yes, if you clarify your message, you do those things, yeah, it's going to reach the right people, but you
Mm.
still have to figure out what's going to work for the
Your area.
the people that are
Mm.
around. What is the culture, not in your affiliate, but what is the culture around you, and how do you get yourself in front of people so that they'll click or
Mm.
call, walk through the door, all of that stuff. So we had to just figure out our own thing. And if
And
we
to
were
be
just,
authentic.
yeah, exactly. If we were just using these are the words that hook people and they will come
Yeah.
in, like, yeah, except it doesn't. I mean,
Yeah. It's actually really funny in Australia because the market is a little bit different. Like, I could quickly see local affiliates, and I knew which company they were working with by their
yeah,
website, because their websites, and it's like you'd see words like soda, which we use soft drink over here.
Yeah.
It's like, if I'm a customer, I'm looking at that, I'm going, well, that's not your website, that's a template or something. It's like, yeah. And I could actually, yeah, right. And I could see that. Then you go to someone else's, you're like, wow, that website looks remarkably the same, with the same wording. Or you see, their ads are exactly the same. You're like, and that never worked for me either. It's like, I just, you know, doing the, hey, we want 5 men and 5 women who are that just didn't work for me.
yeah,
Yep.
And that just wasn't my voice, and it wasn't. And I'd put that out there, and you go, because pre-fit affiliate, that's what you're. This is the way it works, and you're like, I feel lame doing this. Like, it's not me. I feel like it's embarrassing to stand in front of my members if they see those ads.
Yep.
100%.
100%.
And they'll be like, who are you? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then when
So,
somebody actually walks through the door,
yeah.
like what their expectation is versus who we are when they come in, it's like completely different.
It's a mismatch. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They rarely last.
I was like, I just can't. There are things that still, I'm like, yeah, I just can't do that. It does feel right to me. I cannot say those things.
And I think what's also been good is there've been times, in our coaching calls with Matt, that we'll talk about something, and there's an idea, and we might say, you know what, that's a cool idea, but here's our hesitancy in maybe executing that because of where we are. And I think what's been good is that it's almost like owning your data of, hey, you can explain, and then there's like, hey, okay, I get that, and I understand why that probably wouldn't work there, or why this may not work for AMRock, or and I think that's the other thing I like, is that it's not a force it down your throat and you have to do this. It's, hey, here's something I've tried, or something that another affiliate's tried, or even just learning from each other. And I think that's been a really beneficial thing, is learning from other affiliates of what they're doing is huge, because I'm also one that I can see an idea and I might say, hey, that's a cool idea, but how can I make it applicable to our area?
Yeah. And, that's why we're definitely not in the advice business, because, Chuck and Tony realized very early, they're, very smart guys about it. It's not about the affiliate. The thing about protecting the affiliate model and what makes the affiliate model amazing is that everyone is unique and can be unique. And, it's not, we don't all want to be, for want of a better word, the McDonald's of fitness, like where you go into any one place and it's the same. And that's the beauty in each place, is your uniqueness and what you do differently. And you're right, you can listen to other affiliates and learn, and then go, okay, well, that sounds cool. How do I implement that for me? Rather than going, this is the only way to implement it. And, if you don't do it this way, then we're not responsible for any outcomes. It's like, well, because the ownership is not, with you. Like, you'll implement something that someone's given you. And then if you say to them, well, it doesn't work, then they're like, well, you must have done something wrong, because it works for everybody else. Right. And rather than going, hey, like, where do you want to be? Let's figure out the best way to help you get there. And your own answers. It's just our job to help you see those and have confidence to execute them and pull the trigger, and maybe, stop you, doing dumb things, which, Fit Affiliate stopped me doing a lot of dumb things in the affiliate. And, realizing that, I know when I expanded the facility right at the tail end of the 2020, still COVID uncertainty, anyone else would have said, that's dumb. Like, why are you doing that? They were like, cool. So, okay, how many members do you need to make this work now? Like, how do we make this work for you? And like, that's our focus. That's your goal now. It's like, rather than, I was dreading getting on that call going, yeah, so this is what I did yesterday. I had this idea and I went and did this thing. And then they're like, cool, that's exciting. It's like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, not just like, what are you thinking? That's really, can you get out of it and all that sort of stuff. So, that's the unique approach. It's celebrating and encouraging us to be creative and,
there's not a brick wall.
People.
It's not a brick wall stopping you from doing things. I mean, if it's something that is maybe, I don't want to say a stupid idea, but maybe not the smartest, I think you'd also be called out and challenged, but challenged in the right way. Like, it's not making you feel like you made the wrong decision. It's helping you think through, okay, is this really the right thing?
Yeah, let's walk through that idea and see
break
if
it down. Because like anything, things sound good in our head, but then when you actually have to verbalize it, like, actually, I'll just stop talking now. As you said earlier, Rocky, I'm halfway through this sentence and I'm realizing this is not what I thought it was going to be. And it's just having that conversation, and even about helping us when we fixate on little things. Is this a problem, or are you making it one? Like, is this a problem that somebody else can be taking care of and you can actually do?
Yeah.
Right.
What are you avoiding is usually the thing that gets asked of me.
Yes.
Well, you're being busy. What are you avoiding? What's uncomfortable?
Yeah.
This has been a great chat, guys. But before we wrap up, I guess, something I'm really keen to know is, like, what's your next big dream for AMRock? Like, what's the next big thing that you're hoping to achieve?
Well, let's see. We have some kind of growth targets on our mind of how many members we want to have the very near future, because one of our next big things is we want to move into a bigger facility.
Yeah. So
nice. So that's like, okay, if our Goldfish Bowl is growing. We need to grow to fit the bowl. And so we're trying to get ourselves up to, a few more members now so that we can actually move a little smoothly. Kind of like you experienced of like, oh, I'm gonna expand a little bit here, and okay, where are the people coming from, right? We're trying to get that a little more on the front side so that when we do make that jump, that it maybe is a little softer landing is the hope. So so that's the big thing, is we're hoping by maybe in the next year or two that we have a new facility that hopefully we own and we're not renting, and that's the goal.
Right now. And I think on top of that, it's how can we become more involved in our community? Like not just our box, but like in the Iowa Falls area. How can we be that influence for people? And it may not be that they're coming in and have a membership, but are there other things that we can do to be an outreach and kind of being that place that people look at as, hey, they're really into helping with these, just, I don't know, being a community leader on top of internal community leader, but also within our area. I mean, that's what we're very passionate about.
And we look at it too, like there's a local gym here that is essentially kind of like a Globo gym, but it's a local place. And they have a really, really strong name in the community, but they don't do anything. Like they sponsor a lot of stuff, like their logo gets put on a lot of 5K race shirts and stuff like that, but their people aren't there doing anything. You don't see them. And so we'd like to be that and more. So we want to be involved
and actually turning up
there, but we actually also want to be part of those things so that not only does the community know that, oh, they exist as a business, but they actually show up and they're part of Idaho Falls. They're part of this area and health and fitness here. Right.
Yeah. That's fantastic. And that's a fantastic just cause and a bigger purpose than just, we're running a gym, we need to get members. So I think that is, something super exciting. And I love hearing that stuff. That stuff excites me.
Yeah.
So thank you for your time today, guys. I have really enjoyed getting to chat to you. I know I've seen you on a few different calls around the Place Fit affiliate, but it was good to get some time to chat to you.
And that thing right there, not to interrupt you, but I did. So I'm going to put it in there. But you and I were on calls together. I think it was either in like a sales training or some other calls like that. And so I'm just going to throw it out. It is great to see how far you've come, how far we've come since those first meetings. It's like I remember in meetings, sitting in like calls with you and you were as uncomfortable as I was. And so it's awesome to see where you're at too. I'm excited for you.
That's fantastic. Thank you for that, Rocky. I'd forgotten about that we have been on a lot of different little mini programs and mini courses. But, super excited to see you guys. And I know that in our coaches calls, like Matt is always talking about how well you're doing. So that's exciting too. And getting to have a chat with you guys is awesome. I know you're good people. I mean, you're with the family, and I'm excited to see where you go. So thank you for your time again this morning, guys.
Thanks, Lisa. Appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend, for listening to the Fit Affiliate podcast. If you would be interested in hopping on a free call with us to just kind of chat about what you think your problems are and what you think the gap is between where you're at and where you want to go, we can see if maybe we can help you along that journey, figure out if we're all a good fit to do some sweet things together. So click the link, set up a consult. Let's help you identify some problems that we can mutually solve.